Rinpoche, Dungsela, Elizabeth, Anila, and my noble Vajra brothers and sisters of the Mangala Bhuti Sangha. On this most auspicious first day of Losar, the year of the wood dragon, the Sangha of Mangala Bhuti, your disciples, wish you a heartfelt Losar Tashi Delek. This is a special year for all dragons, but particularly for you, Rinpoche, and Dungsela. This year feels particularly significant in so many ways. So, with unceasing prayers for your long life, the dispelling of all obstacles, and the accomplishment of your outer inner secret and most secret aspirations, we would like to take this special opportunity to request that you accept the Tenjuk and that you stay to teach and guide us for unnumbered ages. On behalf of the entire Sangha of Mangala Bhuti, we request this Tenjuk of you as a collective tendril and offer you a symbolic token and expression of our connection to you and the continuing of that connection through your Dharma heir, Dungse Jampal Norbu. This small carving is made from prehistoric mammoth tusk, which symbolizes the ancient tradition of the Buddha Dharma and the primordial wisdom of enlightened mind. The two dragons carved here are, of course, you and Dungsela, meeting in the middle, symbolized by this piece of jade, which I feel symbolizes the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, under your care, Rinpoche, as you continue to transmit the Dharma further and deeper into this Western land, which we pray may continue to flourish unhindered, hand in hand with your life, activity, and responsibilities in Asia. May the Dharma protectors of the Ningtek, the heart essence lineage, heed our request. Thank you, Rinpoche, from the bottom of our hearts for trusting us and teaching us how to be proper vessels for the snow lion-like nectar of the Buddha Dharma, particularly of this Dzogchen Longchen Ningtek path. May we always remain inseparable from your Dharmakaya, primordially enlightened nature of mind.
Zenjubar Gawando Jula to Zunaman Jumetin Judim Borazon, Hajibim Bala. Gora to Degosungava, Jimbe Chandalazan, the Zamda Maya, Denja Jabja, Wotavalaman Jubalamantan, Dembalamatral, Shanjasundu Junia Tobai, Mezenine Govedun Huja, so on the Zoduji Genja Z. The Sundo Elana Jula Juaran Zedu Sur. Thank you, Jennifer. And Losar Tashi Delek to you all who are here, particularly Losar Tashi Delek to Dungsela and Elizabeth and Anepema, special Tashi Delek to Anepema, as we hope that just as a thank you is being offered to me here because of the wood dragon, and it is being kind of the tradition to offer tenju in the coming of your own sign in the Tibetan tradition. And so as also, I know
85 or 86 is a new 75. And new 70s. So I hope that Anila really lives well as she does and stays healthy and also really reaches out as many as she does to bring a lot of benefit to this world. This hat is Mipam Rinpoche's hat, and I felt inspired to put it on my own head at the time of the Tenshu to just get some more of the blessings of the lineage, and particularly of the Mipam Rinpoche. And Dzigar Kongtrul Rinpoche and Mipam Rinpoche live to be quite old. For one reason, I think they are very good physicians themselves. But however, if someone just to live long is one thing, but to be able to live a long life with the Dharma in the mind and benefit of the beings in the mind, and not only that, but being able to do something to enhance the Dharma in the world and the benefit of the beings in the world is a whole nother tendel and a whole nother auspicious coincidence that has to occur. So I was hoping that I would get some of Dzigar Kongtrul Rinpoche's blessing as well as also Mipam Rinpoche's blessing, and all the lineage masters' blessings to be able to live as been requested in the Tenjuk a long time, and long time meaning like how they have lived and how they have been able to serve the Dharma and be a benefit to the beings. Of to do so myself, so I accept that. Thank you for the Tenshu. And then for the Losar address, I was thinking what I want to say in this Losar time. And I think what came to my mind as to emphasize for myself and as well as maybe perhaps I can be an encouragement, and I can make an encouragement to the Sangha, how we can all grow more a universal love in our hearts and manifest that. As there's a saying in the sutra, there's a quote in the sutra, I think, Sambhasana sadhan lamyasang. If you have a good mind and heart of universal love or love for all beings, then your path and your stages of path all is going to be positive. And so that's something we could all use, and we could all be very personally and collectively work on to have a more of a personal reaping of the benefits. And then collectively also we could reap the benefit as a Sangha. Now, everyone wants to have a good heart and believes that one does have good heart. Just as intention to have a good heart is a good heart. And then being able to act on it in any time, any given time, whether it is to another human being, close to you, approximately where you are, with those who are in your surroundings, or just to a stranger in an intersection who's struggling in life and wants a little chain, and being able to offer a little chain. Or any other ways that you are able to do to act on that instinct or that impulse of a empathetic, seeing somebody who is in a need, who is struggling, and it moves you from inside to stretch yourself and extend yourself and also stretch yourself if need to be. Always a good heart, and in that way I think so many people, I would say, do have a good heart and try to profoundly are good hearts. But in the Mahayana teachings, there is a step-by-step how one can actually cultivate something like that, much more as an ongoing practice, as an ongoing experience, as an ongoing quality of one's mind, though the seed of the quality is there from the beginning, but to grow that quality, to become a more of a prominent quality of oneself. And this we hear from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama almost every day, whenever we see him in the social media, how he emphasizes this so much as a heritage of a Tibet and a Tibetan culture, Tibetan Dharma. And since we are part of the Tibetan Dharma and Tibetan noble lineage of the development of Sambazambo, or positive, good heart, I thought this is something that we can really benefit by trying to embrace it much more. Though, of course, as a practitioner, we all practice Nyundro, and in the Nyundro we have the Bodhicitta section where we spend some time to practice the Bodhicitta. But in life, in general, perhaps maybe we could also really do that as well, much more without the distraction, with all of this what's being offered here, like without distractions out in life, so one can get one's intention across. So in the sutra, four conditions are mentioned, how one forms a habit. And I think this is very profound for me. So I thought maybe I can share that, the 4 conditions, how one forms any habit, whether it is a positive habit or whether it is a negative habit. And the first condition is that if you do something repeatedly, it forms a habit. So trying to do small gestures of goodwill towards one another and to the strangers in the world, and then to anything that is one has a connection and believes it is a positive, making a small gestures every day, so that one has the habit of being connected with all the positivity that one feels inspired and that moves you and that touches you. Especially, I think, with one's own family members who surrounds us, and also friends who surrounds us, Sangha, brothers and sisters. There's often tendencies in all of us to hesitate, and we feel maybe we can extend and we can stretch, and we want to, but then the next minute or next second we hesitate because we don't know how it's going to evolve, or how it's going to end up being helpful or not, or with a lot of unforeseeable circumstances makes us worried or anxious. So without much hesitation, if we can actually stretch out and extend when we feel that instinct of a good heart. So I think that is going to be a great condition of forming our habit. So whatever other impediments that there is to extend and stretch out, to be in expressive of one's own goodwill and good heart. I heard that there's a story that His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama emphasized to not be caught up and not to do, which is there's a swimming pool and somebody is reading a newspaper in the deck chair, and then some are swimming, and one person was drowning and was about to die. And then people come to realize what's happening, and so then they save the person. And then they look at the person who's reading the newspaper and says to him, why don't you help? Why don't you do something? Why you are sitting here and reading newspaper? And he said, I didn't have the permission. So as if to save somebody, you have to have the permission of the person to save somebody. Yeah. So there is always that kind of like a little bit of an, I guess, hesitation or awkwardness within oneself that comes up, that allows us, that doesn't allow ourselves to fully develop our good nature and good heart and express itself. So, as he often says, you don't need a permission to smile. You could smile freely. So it's like that, you don't need a permission to be helpful and have a goodwill and extend a little bit where you could be an help, rather than staying in your comfort zone and your own kind of a level of awkwardness that you find within yourself and don't want to do anything about it. So I really make a request, and I really also am thinking this for myself, how I could do that more myself as well. And towards, of course, all the people who are here, who are connected to me, who I love, of course, but then towards all the others out there in the world and in the universe. At least to have a goodwill, and goodwill being somewhat of an boundaryless, and expression of the goodwill or the good aspiration for all to be happy and be in the conditions to be happy. And if there is something I can actually do, even if it is just a small prayer, to do it with a full heart. It's my kind of New Year or the Losar's changing of the habit or strengthening the habit that I want most in my life. And then the second condition is something that you happen to do very intensively for a period of time. And if you do something intensively for a period of time, that also forms a habit. So maybe perhaps doing some intensive, maybe perhaps meditation on the bodhicitta, and particularly getting the fact that how many ever billions of people are on this earth, and then with the animals and the insects, it becomes countless of numbers of beings on this very small planet, in relative to other larger planets, and then in comparison to the universe itself, how small this planet is. If we could, have this feeling of how many there are in that way, countless of numbers, that all these beings are just like ourselves, who wishes to be happy, who longs to be free from suffering. And then we try to achieve that every single day, and then in the night. And this Dajin Nyambi Samba, seeing yourself and others are not different in that. Yourself and others are identical. Now, to really, somebody who wants to have a universal good heart, that acknowledgement of how all living beings aspires to be happy, all living beings aspires to be free from pain and suffering, how that is so much what's happening here with you, and just as what's happening here with you, it's happening out there with every living beings. This kind of a deep acknowledgement, to the point that it, unless of course some unconscious and some strong habits of the past and the conditions of intensity level being quite high, that you lose your self-awareness. That happens. But in general, that then we really have a strong sense of commitment to not harm anyone, not harm any beings, from that view. From the kind of the view of you want to treat others as you want to be treated yourself, philosophy or the view. And then also, beyond that, there's the feeling of wanting to be happy and wanting to achieve state of bliss for oneself. Now, if we could make that kind of an aspiration, that kind of a longing, not only for ourselves, but for all living beings, because in a way, 1 versus 100 is going to be more important. If one can actually help oneself to come out of one's own self-attachment, how could 100 be not important than oneself? Of course, when attachment is there, it's very difficult to see beyond one's attachment. But with the reasoning, with any intelligent human beings with a critical charapnamje intelligence, how could, mass being not important than just one individual? How everyone being happy around you and being much more in a better place than you alone being happy and in a better place. How would the two can ever be compared? So, those who want to establish our universal love and goodwill towards all beings and believes in such thing is a much more higher cause for one's life and meaning, and to do whatever we do to serve that purpose. Then we must really feel a deep joy, a sense of deep joy to engage in the practice of loving kindness and wishing others being happy. And others meaning every living beings in the universe being happy and having the conditions of happiness. Almost that achievement, that happiness is more important than your happiness. Yes, of course, you want to be happy, but comparison to the happiness of all living beings versus your happiness. Happiness of living beings is going to be, of course, more and more increasingly being important inside of oneself. And if one's focus can be intensively just that, if one can lose one's small self in that bigger self, which is the all living beings, as yourself, I think this really brings, in my mind, all of the great masters from the Buddha onwards, their happiness and their peace and their joy and their unconditional love for humanity and all living beings. Hence, they are Buddhas, they are Bodhisattvas. Hence, we can be a Bodhisattva even just with that aspiration, and that aspiration alone becoming more and more stronger and stronger inside of you and cleaner inside of you, one can really become very much aspired Bodhisattva in the modern world. So, second condition being intensively contemplating on the reasons, and then meditating on those reasons. Then the third is counter-agent. Now the counter-agent, if you have to develop a positive habit, we need positive ongoing practice and intensive practice time to time. And then we have to also be mindful of the counter-agent or opposite obstacle. And opposite mindset to bigger self is the small self. And particularly what I want to focus in this time, not to suggest that we can get rid of the small self altogether, but even for the small self, for the individual self to be able to live well in the world, you need a positive thinking. Positive thinking and Thaknang, I think, are very similar. Thaknang is pure perception. In the modern world, in the early days of Vajrayana, we felt maybe sometimes positive thinking is a little bit of hard to explain, especially fruitional path is hard to explain. But in the more and more time goes, we are hearing from all sorts of research being done by many groups from different parts of the world, as well as also many groups of psychologists, as well as also many groups of scientists, and even physical doctors, that how much positive thinking has so much of a benefit for our mental health and for our physical health and for our sort of general well-being in the society, our relation with the world and others, especially in our own kind of whatever the small world that you are able to have manifested. To be positive and to have a positive thinking, how it pays out to be a leader, how it pays out to being a member, how it pays out being to have a harmonious community, society. So what is a positive thinking? Positive thinking is to focus on the people's positive qualities, despite of our habit is being very much drawn to focus on people's negative qualities. Despite of the environment, despite of our own kind of social circles, have the habit of being focused on the negative. Now, if this cannot be changed inside of us, this sort of a automatic algorithm of our mind being negatively focused on one person's negative qualities, then it moves on to the another person's negative qualities, and then it moves on to the another person's negative qualities. So if you are in a day thinking about 10, 15 people, or 10, 15 people comes up in one's mind, you're thinking always in a negative light. To the point then, if we try to even want to change that, to the point that even if we try to actually find a positive thing, one positive thing in the others, we have a hard time to finding. This is the root cause of a lot of our sufferings. A lot of disturbance in our mind. So, pure perception actually is seemingly, however it is a little bit out of reach or a little bit fabricated or a little bit only wanting to see one side, not the other side, and there's a sense of feeling of a little bit of controlling your own mindset and perceptions and emotions to be in a certain particular way. But this is what the Dharma means. Dharma means elevating ourselves, changing ourselves from negative habits, from negative trends of mind, preoccupying our states, to being transformed. Chu means somewhat in this way, trying to change the focus, change the perception, change the emotions, change therefore then the relation, being not a disturbed one, but rather a joyful, a mutual respect and mutual admiration, mutual, really a friendship. And this is what I have been working with my students and with anyone and everyone, trying to have a goodwill and a positive relation, and emphasize to see the positive qualities in the students. But I can see how much more I can do that better. And that's my commitment to myself and to you all. I'm going to be trying my best to see in that way the Sangha, the students, so as also anyone and everyone who is related to the Buddha Dharma. And also beyond that, anyone and everyone. And I can really see how I can be greatly benefit by that. That can make me much more deeply able to let go, because I can feel inspired by others. So I would maybe suggest that for the students as well. Taknang. Taknang means positive thinking, seeing positive qualities. And the negative qualities or negative things that pops up in one's mind and one feels a little bit brought down by that, know how to transform that and change that to a taknang. So if we do want to, this is my third point, if we do want to, which I think we all do want to, we should be able to do so. Now whether one wants to or not is a whole other question. It takes a long time to get to a point where you really feel sure about something. And until then, you could always sort of delay the process, even though you know it's the right thing, because you yourself have not come to a point where you really feel 100% this is what you want and this is what you can be benefited by. So I hope that so many years of our practice, so many years of studies, we have that in common, that we want to improve our taknang. Students' perception of the teacher, since I'm the teacher, maybe perhaps I don't have any rights to say you should have a taknang with me, but I certainly would like to increase my taknang with you all, and like to make commitment to increase my taknang with you all, which you all have immense positive qualities. And then also with the world, and with all of the good people in the world. I would like to not instead of choosing to focus on the positive side, not to go into the negative thinking and negative judgments and negative feelings of how this world is about to collapse, or all things are to go south. That kind of thinking helps no one. That kind of a critical intelligence, even if you think it's a critical intelligence, it helps no one. It keeps no one safe. It keeps no one from the disturbance that it stirs up inside of oneself. It keeps no one from losing kind of a brightness in their eyes, a sense of light, hearted, positive outlook of the world. It dims it. So why to be caught up in that? I acknowledge that there is so much of an pulled with the change in the world, geopolitical change in the world, and also the wars, and as well as also so many instability that is apparent here. And then everyone knows what's in any corner of the world, what's happening because of the social media and also because of the technology. One feels like one should be feeling negative, pessimistic, and not feel so hopeful and cheerful, and very much project into the future with some joy in perspective. Joyful life. This kind of effects of the media and effects of the technology and effects on the effects of the change of the modernization. The very thing, the modernization, the technology, and the enhancement of people's life with the better circumstances and better chances to everyone to do well gets defeated. The very purpose gets defeated. So I see that we can, as a Dharma practitioner, hopefully be an example in the world to, despite of samsara being samsara, however it is, still maintain the lotus-like attitude, not being tainted by the muddy water, and float above with the wisdom and compassion. And the wisdom here being dagnang, to have a pure perception, positive thinking, and then compassion here being empathetic for the people who are struggling in the world in that way, and try to uplift them rather than join in with them. So this brings me into the fourth condition, which is the availability of the field. If you are with someone who's irritant, you're going to get irritated all the time. Unless you do something from inside of you, you're going to suffer. So the availability of the field, meaning the conditions being around you, what provokes reactions inside of you, what makes you think, what makes you feel, how your mind gets deteriorated or gets uplifted. That's what the availability of the field is. So, availability of the field in the modern world, to go in the positive thinking and positive direction with the universal love and kindness and compassion as a core of one's value, and goodwill towards all, is not so much there. You have to create. We have to create. We have to create among ourselves. Now if we fail to create that, and we fail to create that kind of a positive energy or manifest positive energy in that way in our lives, to expect this changing world, changing conditions, all of the kind of instability and all of the power plays, all of the ups and downs of the economy, and all of this, what happens in the world, being constantly in our face, and we are always being made aware, we are going to suffer. We are going to actually lose lots of time. In confusions. But if we, despite of the availability of the conditions outside being not so suitable, however, we could create the conditions inside with our own view and with our own will, with our own practice, with our own determination, particularly with the determination. If you spend a one day being negative, being determined by the night how much you suffer for the day, tomorrow you're going to do that. You're going to do differently. You're going to actually change your mind and change your view and change your heart and change your experience for the better. And being in that way determined, Losar means being very decisive. Then I think one can always have that kind of a strength of practitioner's mind that has been tested in time, in the past, as well as also we could have that kind of a strength in the present. So, 4 conditions to change habit in all, doing something consistently, doing something intensively for a period of time, and then being aware of the counter-agent, or if it's a positive habit that you want to develop, which we want to, what is the opposite aspect of that and the obstacle of that, and try to minimize that. Somebody recently I heard said, yes, it's very important to think positively, but more importantly than that is not think negatively first. And then in that way to have an independent field, not relying on the external field to feed us. So then remaining in this world like a lotus. However, lotus is born in the muddy pond, lotus being not tainted by the muddy water, able to float. Like that, being a beacon of a shine in the samsara as a bodhisattva who has taken the bodhisattva vow to serve the humanity while also having a deep, meaningful life and success in understanding of the nature of things, particularly nature of one's own self, is what I feel inspired to work on, feel inspired to make a commitment and make a progress. I think there's been a progress already in all of us, but that progress being not a new one, not anything that is unfamiliar, but maybe perhaps in this new year of the Dragon Year, hopefully more in abundance, more in a fruition, more as fruition here is what I hope for myself as well as also for all of the Sangha members. And then with a good health and with the perfect ease and relaxation in life, I hope that we could all enjoy the Wood Dragon Year, and this Wood Dragon Year being a great year for all of us. Thank you very much.